part. Just the runs itself are still excited to watch, actually. And
yeah, absolutely.
we also have seen so far a lot of PBs in the tournament, so maybe one of them will PB. It's also exciting to watch.
Just insane. I think that the race before this was a 4-person, so 2 races, 4 screens up, 3 PBs. Just an insane tournament to watch. 2 of them were like neck and neck. It wasn't the same race, but they were going into Chapter 7 like 10 seconds apart.
Nice. So yeah, that's the prologue. You see them jumping there constantly, like to save 1 second by doing this, but that's about it. Because we don't have a dash yet to do some better things than just jumping.
Yeah, but one interesting thing is on this bridge here, you can actually sort of tell that you are faster. If you just run, the music sort of syncs up for when you actually jump off. When you're jumping, the music keeps going even though you're sort of falling into that pit there. And then we get our dash here, which is going to be sort of the main mechanic going on, as both of them have pretty good prologues heading into Chapter 1.
So yeah, Chapter 1 is where you see them performing all different kinds of speed tag, like hypers and just dash jumps. Just try to watch them, it's very fast-paced here.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of these strats, you sort of blink, you miss it. You saw FCRacers there. He just did a wall bounce off of that, giving him momentum to go up the screen faster. Obidobi, he gets another one of those. Not perfect so far, as he just sort of gets caught up by that sort of conveyor block, for lack of a better word, I guess.
So yeah, each chapter has its own unique mechanics, and you just saw that these platforms, they're moving when you touch them. They are called zipper. You can technically every platform that's moving, you can gain extra momentum from it. You'll see it later on in the run even more. I don't think there are that many spots in this chapter, but yeah, momentum is very well created in this game.
Absolutely, and even runners of these, they're not going to be the top runners who are going to... The name of the game is sort of maintaining your momentum, keep going fast. Even with them sort of doing a bit of safer strats, even these runs, you're going to see insane momentum, just keeping dashes going, and all of that. As FCRacers, he's going to finish up Chapter 1 with a 1:26. That's a pretty good time.
Yeah, definitely very solid. I think especially for his PB, it's a decent time. So
absolutely.
Yeah, he's now in Chapter 2. There are 7 chapters you will see in the speedrun. The last 2 are fairly longer than the others, but that's okay. So you see these blocks, they are right out. These are dream blocks, they get activated soon, and once we get there, we will explain them probably.
Definitely FCRacers trying to get both of these skips here. Gets that one. Oh, let's even get a 3rd try. Got it. Yeah, he's going to skip this cutscene, and now we're going to get a lot of people's favorite element of this speedrun, and that's dream blocks.
So yeah, in dream blocks you can, as you already see, you can dash through them, and they will dash you till the end of the dream block in the direction you dashed in. And you get your dash back afterwards, and as you just saw, you can die in these blocks when there's a wall, but that's the only possibility to die in those dream blocks. You can jump out of blocks, you might see, especially top runners do. You can do all kinds of different movement technique out of blocks like hypers, which is very hard. TGH uses it a lot, and yeah, they're just making the game even more fast-paced, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. Now FCRacers on this side is on the battle line screen, so she's going to be basically mimicking your movement 3 seconds behind. In a few of these sections, you're really just going to be making sure that when you sort of backtrace, you don't run into them. As FCRacers right there runs into the battle line section. Those tight cycles, especially on areas like this, can be extremely tight, so it's a little bit tough to get by. Obidobi also doing pretty smooth here, making up a little bit of ground on FCRacer. It looks like Obidobi right now definitely has been a little bit shaky, but he knows the strats. It's just sort of him trying to get them down. And if he does, I think that he could make, even though he's behind by probably 30 seconds, a bit of a comeback.
Yeah, consistency is very key in this like speedrun. You gotta get your strats down consistent to get a good time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And especially in races in general,
Yeah.
consistency is more important than necessarily doing the fastest tech. So if you can do a skip that, you know, saves 10 seconds, but you die on it 3 times in a race, it doesn't really matter because you're not going to be resetting or anything like that. So FCRacers, he's going to be at this final section of Chapter 2.
Which is very technical. Like, it's not hard to get through it, but it's hard to get fast through it.
Yep, like right there, he hit one of those springs. Just slows you down just a tiny bit. You don't want to hit those, or else you just chain together a bunch of hypers and get a lot of speed. As Obidobi, again, just about 20 seconds behind. I think he's definitely well in this race, as FCRacers is going to go to Chapter 3. Well known as one of the tougher chapters, like I guess, of this section.
Yeah, like Chapter 3 is where difficulty really spikes. And you see these black things that are called dust bunnies. And everything in this chapter is like based in a cycle, and there are 2 kinds of cycles, and transition cycle when you transition into the room, and the death cycle. So the cycles are different when you die. Like you see right now, the dust bunnies are on just another cycle than you just saw. So you technically have to learn for each room 2 strats if you want to be like super optimized. So yeah, this chapter is really hard, especially for newer runners.
Absolutely. A lot of these too, you're reliant on maintaining your dash after your hyper, or else it's just death. So you'll get into just consistently retrying rooms until you just get those strats down. As the room right now, Obidobi's in, is probably, at least in my opinion, of this entire chapter, it's one of the hardest ones to get the speed strats down, just because this jump that he just missed right there, it really shows, do you have the technical ability there, maintain your dash as he gets through that room.
Yeah,
it's one of those that the top runners get every single time, but as you're going, you're practicing this run, you're trying to get, you know, say a sub 50 or sub 40, you got to get those down.
Absolutely. So, like, a theme of this chapter is that you have to search the specific keys to get through, like, the main rooms. And now we are, like, FCRacers is at the big mess. So you see this big mess in this room, and you have to clean it up because Ashiro, that's the guy we are just talking to, is unable to do so because he's a ghost. And yeah, now we have to go through 3 parts. Each are like stand for one of these 3 items, like the boxes, the books, or the towels. And yeah, we just have to clean the hotel now.
FCRacers are getting the spike jump off of their first try. That's a difficult jump. Despite what the name is, spike jumps, of course, you're not actually jumping off the spikes. You're jumping off of the wall beside the spike. Just if you have the momentum going sort of away from where the spike is, you're not going to take any damage. So runners can take advantage of that, get a little bit of boost off of walls that you traditionally wouldn't expect to get it from. As Obidobi, he's going into the huge mess section. So again, really these runners really close to one another. FCRacers, he's going to get the second part of the huge mess down. Just dash right over there to Ashiro. And then briefly, for just a moment there, we get to meet Theo for the first time. My favorite character. It's a shame he's not in the speedrun more.
Yeah, so normally you will meet Theo like in the first chapter, and like in every chapter you will meet him at least once, and you're talking and you're like becoming friends during this climb of a mountain. We'll see him later in chapter 5. He becomes more like a key part of the chapter. But yeah, in a speedrun you don't really like get that much interaction with Theo, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, unfortunately, when you rush through it, you don't get to make friends with Theo. I guess you still do, but not as intimate, you know. All right, and FCRacers, he's done with the huge mess section. He's going to move on to the second half of the level as Obidobi moving along in the big mess section, about halfway through. I guess 2/3 the way through.
Yeah, like 2/3. That's the second part you're gonna take. Still a good time, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. He doesn't seem to be losing much time against FCRacers, so really, just if he wants to make, and you know, I hate to call it a comeback when you're down by 20 seconds, because a small mistake can have a lot of time, but he just needs to stay consistent. You know, it sounds simple because it sort of is dumb advice, but it's just don't die for the most part, and you'll be able to make up time.
Yeah, especially in the later rooms of this chapter, you can lose a lot of time because they are fairly long and also like kind of difficult.
Absolutely. FCRacers sort of messing up a dash there. I know I've done that before. As
yeah, sometimes you try to be as fast as possible and then you just like lose stupidly a few seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're just not extremely comfortable with the game, you'll just do silly stuff. Well, actually, I guess even if you are, you'll still see top runners make silly mistakes sometimes. So we're here in the Oshiro section. So he's going to, once you're out of position and he's comfortable enough, he's going to go and dash and try to attack you. What these runners are going to try to do is put themselves in a position where it almost doesn't really matter. Like right there, FCRacers gets through that room. Oshiro didn't even dash towards them. Doesn't even matter. Casually, this can be very tough, and speedrunning it can be very tough because even a small mistake, you're out of cycle. But FCRacers not really making too many big mistakes there.
Yeah, especially this room and 2 rooms later, like the last room, are very long, and if you die here, you lose a bunch of time. And yeah, you have to sometimes take it a little bit safer as a not top runner to just get through these rooms without dying. Even though it might be a little bit slower than your like actual strat, but it's safer, and safetiness, and especially the Oshiro section is very good to be aware of.
Yeah, absolutely. In this final room there, FC Heroes, or Racers, I said FC Heroes, he is just moving along it. He seemed to have that section down pretty fast. Yeah. Obidobi, he's going through it as well. He's taking a little bit safer than FCRacers, but he's still moving along pretty well. Yeah, only 10 deaths there for him. Pretty good Chapter 3 for him, as we're going to go into Chapter 4, and that's going to introduce more mechanics. Is there's one thing about this game, is it just doesn't stop giving you new game mechanics.
Yeah, it keeps the game fresh. So in the Chapter 4, we have these bubbles. They are like just an additional dash in the air. You can like they are just like a dash, as I said. Then you saw already clouds. You can jump off of them with the right timing to get extra height. And there's this wind, and this wind is like really annoying casually, and in the speedrun it's also annoying, but I don't think that annoying because we have tricks to get around it very easily. So yeah.
Yeah, when you're speedrunning it, you sort of want to make it your friend more so than struggle against it. As Obidobi here, he's at the final part of the Oshiro fight, and he's going to get through it at 12 minutes and 30 seconds roughly. So didn't have the best Oshiro, definitely lost a little bit of time against FCRacers, who looked like he was a little bit more comfortable in that, but at the same time, still anyone's race.
Oh, and there's another new mechanic we didn't mention yet. These moving blocks, whenever you like touch them, like climb on them or stand on them, they will start moving, and yeah, they just move in one direction. They're kind of like an auto-scroller sometimes, and like in this room, but you can skip it. You can skip like literally, I think, every auto-scroller in the game, but it's sometimes really hard. And there you go.
He goes for that skip, no issue, he gets it first try. Yeah, and those moving blocks, the one thing about this section that you'll notice is there's a lot of them over there, but runners are just going to skip a bunch of those. Pretend like they're not there and just get through those rooms as quickly as they can. Racers taking a little bit on that jump there from that button. That jump's a little bit tougher than it looks. When you get it right, it looks like, how do I ever get this wrong? But that jump back from getting that button can be pretty tough. He gets it first try.
Yeah. It's like you just have to do the wave dash off of one block, which is very small in this game.
Looks like Obidobi's going for another spike jump. Didn't get it first try. Let's see if he can get this. Yeah, having a little bit of trouble with that spike jump. As FCRacers, he's just moving along at a good pace. Yeah, having trouble with it. I don't blame him. Personally, it's a pretty tough thing to get. There he goes. He got it. It's really not something where you just, okay, you practice it a few times and there you go, you got it. You have to really stick with practicing that in order to get spike jumps down.
So FCRacers is now the final part of the chapter 4. There you see some snowballs flying through the screen. They kill you in this game, so better don't touch them. And they just work similar to Oshiros, so yeah, they track your height and then aim for you. But you can avoid them and kind of manipulate them if you know when they will spawn every time. It's not too difficult.
Absolutely, and there's nothing in this game that is random for the most part. There is a section in Chapter 6 that some racers will claim is a little bit random with those bumpers, but for the most part, this game, absolutely no RNG to it. So as long as you know what the cycles are, you can manipulate anything in this game and have a strat for it. As FCRacers, he's going to finish up.
Sub 4 minutes.
Yeah, that's a good time for him. He really didn't mess up many things during that section at all. Yeah, look at that. Only 3 deaths, that's definitely a good chapter 4. And so we're gonna go into Mirror Temple, so that's gonna add in even more mechanics.
So yeah, we saw in chapter 4 green bubbles. There in chapter 5 you will see red bubbles. They will just dash as long as there's a wall or spikes, or you dash out of them. So they can also go through screen transitions. You casually have to do. I don't know if we see one of the players actually using that thing in a speedrun. And then there are those moving spikes. That's very obvious what they do. And then there are those dash blocks. They just have a set path and they move whenever you dash in a really fast pace, and then they go slowly back to their original position.
Yep, and the runners are going to use those a lot to gain momentum. There's a few sections where he's going to try it right here. Look at that. You just do one dash off of them and you get so much speed. A lot of fun to watch that when a runner can really get some speed moving. As Obidobi here, he's getting sort of to the end of Chapter 4. One of the final few screens.
Oh, he got caught there by...
Yeah, that's tough. It happens. Again, with all of these, one of the issues is if you get off of a cycle, it can be really tough when you're trying to get through it fast, because if you don't know exactly where that snowball is going to go, or you get trapped, there's nothing you can really do other than take an unfortunate death.
So yeah, on FCRacers screen, you will see soon the in-mirror cutscene, where we have to control for a little while a monster or seeker, also called, and these seekers are now the main theme of chapter 5. You will see later a bunch of them, but for now we just have to move around as one.
Yeah, and those are definitely, you're going to have to learn to deal with those. They track your position and everything. Very tough to deal with. But we'll see how FC Racers and soon Obidobi, as he finishes up Chapter 4 for himself, how they deal with him.
I actually liked it that Obidobi went for that last berry in the last screen.
Absolutely. You got to get those.
Yeah, just for the swag.
Got to get the swag berries. All right, there. We're gonna see that first Seeker, but can't even see Madeline right there.
So what they do, as soon as they see you, they just charge at you, and when they hit you, you die. You can jump off them to regain your dash, similar to Oshiro and the snowballs. And yeah, like good runners know how to deal with them and kind of can manipulate them. There he got a nice like jump off a Seeker to activate the bottom block. As we not said, but kind of said it, Seekers can also activate switches for you. And yeah, you can abuse that fact too.
Yeah, FC Racers just did that a couple times there. In this room, he just had him press a button for him. Did it in a room before as well. And that definitely saves a good amount of time, so you don't have to go out of your way to press a few buttons. Obidobi, he's been moving along pretty well at the very beginning of this Mirror Temple, so he's a bit behind, missing out on a couple strats there. Definitely cost him a little bit. As FC Racers their first time, he's gonna get that search skip. That's the biggest skip in the game. That saves a few minutes of going around finding keys. Pretty tough to get when you're first starting out, but he makes it look easy.
Yeah, also very interesting, and I have huge shoutouts to Obidobi. Even though these two PBs are like 10 minutes apart, Obidobi is doing a pretty good job, honestly. Like, he's not that far behind.
No, he's doing a fantastic job. Really, it's just a few, and this is what happens with most speed games when you're inconsistent with it, is you just make mistakes on a few sections of it, and that might take a little bit longer than you would have hoped. And that's what's really happening with him, because on other sections, he's doing fantastic. He's just getting caught up on a few screens that are wasting more time than I think he would like.
So yeah, FC Racers is in the Theo section. As we mentioned earlier, Theo is now like a major part of Chapter 5. So he's prisoned in that crystal, and you have to carry him around and through. Like, the story is that you two have to get out of this, and you want to help your friend. So what Theo can do is, like, he actually can block monsters, but that's not like very often used, but he technically can. He can activate switches for you, he can go through spikes. Is there something else I missed?
No, I believe that's it. You get moment, so if you'll see him sometimes throwing Theo, doing a dash, then picking him up, that conserves your momentum. You can build up a lot of speed doing that, especially when you see them go off of one of these dash blocks while doing that. Builds up a ton of momentum. Earlier he got one of those, builds up for one of my favorite, I don't know if you'll call it a skip, but you just sort of breeze through that level.
So yeah.
FC Racer here, he's at the very end of Chapter 5.
Yeah, one thing I want to mention is that, like, even though it looks easy and very fast, movement with Theo is very weird, and you have to, like, when you're done with learning just your general movement in the game, you have to learn it separately for Theo, because Theo does a lot of crazy things when you hold him and stuff. So moving around with him fast is really hard, actually.
Absolutely. And then right here, Obidobi, he's getting to the Seeker section. At least on this screen, looks like he might have gotten out of psych a little bit and had to do a little homemade strats. And now we're going to see another new mechanic. We're going to see the feather. This sort of exactly how it looks like. You have this movement. The difference between the movement in this and what you have for the rest of the game is its analog movement. So I'm not sure what FC Racers uses for his input, whether it's D-pad, keyboard, or analog stick. But you'll notice a lot of runners who do use D-pad, they'll move over to the analog stick just for that full analog movement. It looks like he's going to go for Lake Skip. Let's see if he can get that. Doesn't get it first time, but let's see. He's just going to go ahead and he's going to do the Lake Skip, which can save you a good amount of time if you're not good at Lake Skip.
Yeah, leg skip is one of the more harder tricks. It saves 4 or 5 seconds. I'm not pretty sure right now. And yeah, but it's okay to not go for it. Like, as I said, it only saves 4 seconds.
Absolutely.
And there's another new mechanic in Chapter 6. There are those blocks called cabin blocks. When you dash from them in the right or whatever direction, they will charge at that direction. You crashed into them, like as you see right there. And they charge at you with a very high speed. So you can get a lot of momentum out of these. You will see probably later in this chapter, most likely. And we call them cabin blocks because Kevin from Power Up Audios made the voice acting for them, like the sound effect for them. That's why we call them cabin blocks.
Yeah, and Obidobi here, he's making his way through this section with Theo. Doesn't seem like he's taking too many deaths there. Doesn't look like he has as consistent of strategies as someone like FCRacers had. But at the same time, he's getting through it there with really not too bad of a pace.
Yeah, like most new runners just don't have a strat for few sections, so they try to do their best on the fly. And sometimes they're doing actually really cool and interesting looking things.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And FCRacers, here you have a split path. He's going to take the bottom path. Here's these bumpers that I was talking about before. They just go, you bounce off, as you can see, sort of normal to the direction of what you bounced off of. I said before that some people say that they're a little bit random. I don't think they are, but it does seem like sometimes it just doesn't send you where you expect to go, and that can be really frustrating. But FCRacers doesn't seem to have an issue so far, as he's going to take, on the second split path, he's going to take the bottom route again.
Actually, I didn't know that anybody said that they are random.
It's not that they say they're random, it's just that they say that they don't do what you want it to do. Like, you'll be going off and you'll hit it horizontal. And I'll see it a lot more when people are doing sort of B and C sides where it's really important that you get a certain angle off of it. Luckily in any percent, for the most part, all of those bumpers are in locations where you're fairly safe. But once you get into the B and C sides, it can be a little bit frustrating when maybe you're off by a little bit and you don't get it. So Obidobi there, he's starting off Chapter 6, not even thinking about going for Lake Skip, which is probably a smart move for him, as he just needs to make up time, which for him is probably the best way is going to be to not die.
So yeah, on FCRacers screen you see he's trying to get through a certain area very tight. It's like an intentional skip built in by the developers of this game. Yeah.
Yep, in that last one, it's pretty tight to not get hit by those spikes, but he gets through it. I believe that was third try, but it didn't take too long on that section. Luckily, there's a checkpoint right before it, so you're not wasting too much time for it.
So yeah, there you see a big cabin block, and probably we will see a huge skip there. I didn't get it, but the first jump where was with very high momentum, they can get a little bit of a taste on how fast Madeline can get.
Yeah, one of those flashy saves where you just build up so much speed and it looks awesome. Just reminds me of some of those saves that you see in the TAS where it just builds up an insane amount of speed and gets through rooms in seconds, just because this game doesn't cap off your speed. You can theoretically go as fast as you can do your strategies to build up speed. So you'll see Madeline go extremely fast, both in normal speed runs as well as TASes.
So yeah, FCRacers is already in the Battleon fight. So Battleon we saw earlier, we saw through the entire game. Casually you will have way more interaction with her. In a speedrun we just do all the gameplay things and skip all her cutscenes. And yeah, this fight is okay. That looked interesting.
Yeah, he went right past Battleline and went to that feather. That was, I applaud the. You know that wasn't on purpose, so pretty good smarts there to go back with that feather. I think I probably would have died just not realizing what happened.
Yeah, sometimes it's really important that you like kind of good at recovering, because this game is meant to like that you make mistakes. So even top runners make mistakes sometimes, and especially in a race, if you have the ability to recover if you messed up somewhere, and then you are an even better runner than you already might be.
Yeah, absolutely. I said it before, but in races, it's not necessarily as important to be the person with the top time as much as it is just being consistent. And then, as like you were saying, knowing how to recover from making a small mistake. As Obidobi, he's a few screens away, but he's getting close to that battle line section himself. So he looks to be making up at least a little bit of time on FCRacers. We're getting, you know, sort of close to the end of the race here, but at the same time, Obidobi, with this battle line section and a chapter to go, he's got plenty of time to come back.
Yeah, so the battle and fight is how it works. So on each of these rooms, battle line has some spots where she will go, and you just have to reach that spot as fast as possible and hit her, and you just hit her by dashing or jumping into her, and she has a pretty huge hitbox. So yeah,
that hitbox is definitely friendly. You just go in the direction near where she is, it seems like, and the game will give it to you, luckily. Yeah, Obidobi, he's on that section himself as FCRacers getting towards the end of this battle and fight.
Yeah, so that's the second last screen, and now he's entering the last screen of the section, of the battle and fight, which is probably the longest. If you die here, you lose a bunch of time. Like, yeah, it's just better take it safe and don't die here. It's way better.
Absolutely. It's one of the big things with this game is having the very end of challenging sections or chapters to have one final long room to just, you know, make sure that you weren't, you know, if you were on a PB pace, you know, just maybe it wants to try to kill it because the room's so long and you die at the end. There's nothing worse than that. FCRacers now got that pink hair. That gives him the ability to dash twice. So in Chapter 7, we're going to see the whole section. So it's going to go through basically what we've seen in each chapter of the game, except for sort of remixed with the ability to dash twice.
So yeah, Chapter 7 is definitely the longest chapter in this game, like in a speedrun, and probably also casually, it takes like a third of the entire run.
Yeah.
But it's like a epic final climb of the mountain, so it definitely deserves to be one of the longer parts of the run.
Absolutely. Plus we got this amazing, I think, you know, at some point I've said that every song is my favorite song in the game, but this is definitely one of them, especially all the variations that it goes through. But right now, I do want to note that, so FCRacers, he's got a PB of 42.08, and he's actually, if he's got a clean as he had at the 0 meter section, if he gets a clean summit, he could very well PB here. And Obidobi himself as well, he's getting through battle line pretty quickly as well. He's got a 54 minute, so I think that he's very likely at this point to get a PB.
Yeah, he's on a really good pace. Like, my PB is very similar to him, and what time he has right now for this part of the battle and fight, he's on a very good pace, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. You could tell that from the last time that at least he submitted his PB. And also that PB is going based off of speedrun.com, so he could have had a PB sooner than that, but at the same time, just based off of that time, he's doing very well. And FCRacers, just these first two sections of it, doing it without a problem. A minute 45, and he's already completing that second section of it.
So now the 1000 meter section is where dream blocks are coming back. And with 2 dashes, you can imagine it's very fast paced, and it just feels amazing to go through these screens. And this like.
And Obidobi there, the very final part of that battle line screen, takes a death. Rough. Almost misses a feather there, and he goes back.
Dying in this last room costs a lot of time. So hopefully you can get it now. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Still, again, he's very good pace right now. Leaving that at a little bit over a 32 is what's going to end up being. That's a pretty good pace. As FCRacers just showing why those dream blocks are so great, just building so much speed, so many continual dashes, so fun to do, and it's so fun to watch. As he's going to finish that, he's 244 right now going through that. He's on a great pace.
Yeah, definitely FCRacers now at the hotel section of the summit, like of Chapter 7, which is probably one of the hardest part of the entire game, because there are very long rooms, there are dust bunnies again, which are cycle based, and yeah, especially this one and the 2 rooms later are very long, so if you mess up once you lose a lot of time, maybe lose focus, so that's also very important to
Well, he got through that room no problem, and yeah in my opinion, that's the hardest room in the any percent run. He made it, just breeze through it.
Okay, so for me that's the hardest room in any percent, because of this ending, but wow, okay, he gets through there.
Yeah, he just is going, he's like, oh, no problem, I'm just gonna dash right through this.
And that looked very clean and good, like, take a note from FCRacer if you wanna get good at this game.
He's gonna get that first try, going to one of these final rooms of 1500 meters.
So yeah, he's on a really good pace, like, he's playing literally a very good.
Absolutely. He had a couple deaths on that section of it, but most of them were like in the first couple seconds. I'm super impressed on how efficient he's going through this, as he's in the 2000 meter section. Only 2 more to go before we get to the 3000 meter section of it. And he's going to get that skip to go over to the top, which is just ever so faster. Get the strawberry there as well. That's his second. And Obidobi, he's doing very well. Also, he's getting through here, the 500 meter section, no issues as well. So if he keeps this up, again, he's on that PB pace.
So yeah, that on FCRacer screen is probably the longest autoscroller. Like, technically there's no autoscroller, but we like to call these parts autoscrollers because they are kind of autoscroller-ish, because you have to wait for these blocks. Normally, or what means normally, you can skip those, but they are really hard to get the skip on, and like, top runners are going for it, but it's also fine to not go for it if you are not that used to it.
Absolutely. They save a few seconds, but at the same time, those auto-scroller sections, you usually have to, they take about 8 to 10 seconds to actually build up to that, so you really have to think about whether or not it's worth it to risk 10 seconds to save 4 seconds. Oh.
So yeah, Obidobi now at the, like, 1000 meter section, going through these 3 blocks very fast, I hope so. And yeah, FCRacer is now on the last screen of the Chapter 4 part in Chapter 7. Coming up next is like the Mirror Temple we see again, with all its mechanics, and yeah.
Yeah, and he's 6 minutes and he's on this section. I'm just a very impressive summit for him so far. As Obidobi, he's... Oh, jeez. And let's see, there's a few notable skips in this one that are pretty tough. Let's see what he goes for in this 2500 meter section. He's going to go for the key skip. Let's see if he gets it. 2 consecutive spike jumps. Okay. Having a little bit of trouble. There he goes. He gets it. Relatively, actually, pretty quickly. That's a very tough jump, because spike jumps in themselves tough. Then you do 2 in a row, and it's even tougher. As Obidobi going into that room that I think, again, toughest in the run. Hopefully he can get through that unscathed. FCRacers, he's going to go for this skip. This one's tough. You're trying to do a diagonal dash. He gets it right there. Let's see if he's going to... Well, okay, he went for it.
Skip kind of.
So one thing that I found out a while ago is if you do end up skipping that first button, you can't go for it on the second one. If you press that button, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I've heard all of that at the very beginning of this tournament. Somebody told me.
Yep.
And I was like, what?
Yeah, so right there, it almost looked like he wasn't sure if he was going to go for door skip, but then sort of missed something and was like, well, might as well try it. Almost got it, got to the second portion of it. Yeah, and he's going to finish this up. He's at 7 minutes and 40 seconds, roughly, going to the 3,000 meter section. So, again, his PB is a 32:08, or 42:08, excuse me. So he's on a really good pace so far, as Obidobi is getting close to the end of the 15,000 meter section.
Yeah, so FCRacers are now on the final stretch of the run. So you now have checkpoints and no longer like respawns on screen transitions. So yeah, they just use checkpoints here, the game developers. You can skip them as you just saw to save a few seconds. Yeah, you might see some runners go for it. It's definitely like, if you go for it, it's a free time save, but if you die, it's a like also free time loss.
Yeah, absolutely. And none of these, a few of these sections are pretty easy, but a lot of them that they're going to go through, it's one of the tougher sections of the game, especially since right now you have that downdraft. So any jump that you might miss by a little bit, that wind just makes it all the more tougher to get through. But he's going to get through that, still on a good pace, 38:30. Yeah, only 17 to go. He's getting through this cleanly. Obidobi, he's on this auto scroller section, getting through this pretty well. I'm impressed by both runners. Relative to what their PBs are, they're doing very well.
Yeah, I have to say the same. Like, they are doing actually really good. Very impressive by both of them. Keeping that race closer than it actually was expected to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is, let's see if we can get this final jump here. I think that this is a, yep, he's got it. It's sort of a deceptively tough jump. It looks like it's somewhat straightforward, but it's so easy to hit those spikes. And he is now on checkpoint number 11 with still below 40 minutes. So very impressive run by him.
So yeah, the checkpoint started at 30 at this chapter and are counting down. So 1 is the last one and 0 is kind of like the end. Like on the very top there's a big flag.
Yep. And Obidobi, he's finishing up that 2,000 meter section just below 40 minutes. So he's
really good.
I think that, you know, again, given that their speedrun.com times are match what their actual PBs are, I think that we have a chance for a dual PB. You know, knock on wood, don't want to commentators curse anything. But it looks like he skipped that flag. I didn't know that you could skip that flag. Thought it just dropped you off, but 4 more to go.
Yeah, the 5th flag is, I also didn't know that you can skip that, but most players actually told me that this is probably the most common one because like the 4th flag is not that far away and
yeah,
you can just like get off the platform without like landing on it where the 5th flag is. So that don't activate the flag.
And so he got through 3, one of the longest ones with no issue. He gets through 3 and 2. The really, I'm pretty sure those are the longest 2. There are the longest 2 in this summit section of it. So he's going to go up there. He's going to get a sub 41. That's a good time for him. And with the 40:46, I believe that's a PB. We'll have to see afterwards, but either way, good game by FCRacers. He's going to take this one as Obidobi's going to go for door skip, and he's going to get it.
Very impressive. I think he was very happy right there. Like, he's ducking a little bit there. So, yeah, really good. And also GG's to FCRacers with an amazing run.
Just absolutely amazing. Very impressed. Was able to get a lot of those and also 2 strawberries, which, you know, doesn't lower your time or anything, but
I think it's a PV, like how excited he was there at the epilogue.
Absolutely.
And 43 deaths also. It's good.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to be very happy with that. As Obidobi, he's going to get to that final section of this at 41 minutes. And again, just talking about how amazing FCRacers race was for him, we got Obidobi here having a good race of his own. And actually looking pretty comfortable going through a lot of these. Especially for newer runners, this section can be very tough because you have right now, it's the downdraft and then you get the updraft. It can be very confusing, a little bit disorienting because you're not used to how the Madeline momentum works. But he's actually going, at, I keep saying this, but a pretty good pace.
Yeah, he looks like he has some problems with some of these parts, but after a few tries, at least, he's getting it very, very well done. So yeah, still good pace, as you mentioned. Like, he has a lot of time. If his PB on speedrun.com is accurate, we don't know.
Oh, and just misses that. Luckily, that's at the beginning, right near that check flag. But I thought he got it, but I guess the game didn't want to give it to him.
Yeah, it just looked like a few pixels, probably.
Yeah, doesn't the
I
game...
also thought he got it.
I thought he had it. The game didn't know he was on a PB pace and didn't want to give it to him.
Yeah, probably makes sense. So it seems like we can have an interview with FCRacer. So we will get him in here, I think. Once he unmuted himself. I don't know. Or we just have to wait. Or you do it, whatever. I'm unsure with that.
Sure, we'll see if he comes in for an interview at some point. As Obidobi, he's getting this finished up. He's on one of the final few flags, I believe. Yep, it's 13. This one for me again. It's got this tight jump at the end here, and it's one of the not one of the longer sections, but it's a pretty long section, followed up by one final jump. He's not going to get it. Both these runners making it look like it's not an issue.
So yeah, Obidobi just tried to get through these final stretch. This is also a very long section, but he gets it very easily.
And right there, that's one check flag 8 that a lot of people end up skipping, but I think it's smart for him to get it. It only loses like 2 seconds, if that. So as we're joined here by FCRacer, how do you think that, how do you feel after that race? I believe that was a PB. It at least is better than your PB from speedrun.com. Is that correct? I think that all I'm hearing is in-game audio from you, so I'm not sure if there's something with your mic, but that's all I'm hearing.
Yeah, probably better mute your mic and not mute your game and then.
Ooh. And so on check flag 3 here for Obidobi, he's got just a few more to go. On check flag number 2. Let's see if he can get it. Just over 45 minutes is what it looks like he's going to get. So 2 fantastic runs. Let's go.
Yeah.
At this point, I mean, there's just a few sections of spike left. But the biggest point that I see it is an early retry. And he's just going to stay there for a little bit. Does he know he has to skip the cutscene? Either way, fantastic run for him.
Okay, now he better skip the cutscene.
Press skip cutscene. The time just keeps going. Go. No. GG, but skip cutscene.
He just wants to read through those text for the fans.
I think so. There he goes. Okay. Woo. Woo. Close one. I think that like most games, when you hit the final part of it and you go to that, it's sort of like, okay, you're done. And a lot of people, they'll even, just have whatever, keep going because they'll just celebrate that it's the end. But this is one of those games where you do have to skip cutscene, say that's the end. So 45:51 is official time, even with a little bit of time race. So that's a pretty good time for him. I believe that's a PB as well. I believe this is 2 PBs. We'll confirm it if we can, but a great race put on by two people. Two sub 50s, sub 46 for both of them. Pretty impressive. And my favorite thing, both of them had strawberries. Obidobi with 3 of them.
I actually never finished a run without a strawberry, to be honest. So, I don't know on that. So,
I think that in my normal runs, I think I end with 2 just based off of one that I get in Chapter 2 and then another for a swag one and I think Chapter 7. But either way, normally you'll get 1 or none. But I just like seeing, a few strawberries in there.
So yeah, we might be able to probably get the interview done with with both runners. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. If the racers want to join us in for a post-game interview, I'm sure both of them are very happy with their runs. Yeah, they'll join in momentarily. But yeah, just another great run. We got FCRacer and Obidobi in here. FCRacer, you were here before. Looks like your mic's working. How did you feel? That was a PB, I believe. Correct, FCRacer?
That is correct. That is a new PB.
That is awesome. How were you feeling? Especially, you had one of the smoothest Chapter 7s that, I've seen from somebody with, just above a 40-minute. How were you feeling going into Chapter 7?
To be quite honest, for the most part, I practiced 1500 a lot, particularly long room. If you noticed, when I jumped in, I hit retry because I'm more comfortable.
I did notice that.
The death cycle there than I am just going in straight away. So I was like, I'm just gonna go for it. And once I start, I was trying to not pay attention to the time and how I was doing or anything like that, or just kind of just focus on everything at hand and all the practice that I put in.
Yeah, I think it definitely showed, especially again Chapter 7. I was impressed how smooth all of those sections went for you. Was very impressive. And then we have Obidobi. I believe that was also a PB for you as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was a PB by 10 minutes.
So that just amazing right there. Going through that, and I was just like, man, he's going through a great pace compared to his PB. I almost thought there's no way his PB was that before. So you had to probably putting in a lot of practice recently.
No, yeah, I have just been grinding this game. I started learning the run probably right after GDQ. So yeah, I've literally just been grinding the game since I started learning it. So
and already at a sub 46, that's impressive, especially moving forward. So and even though FCRacers got the win there, I think that in some matches going forward, I think that you got a great chance to get that and then maybe get into the into the top 64.
Yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun, and that's what this tournament is all about. It's just hanging out, meeting new people, having some fun, doing some races. So,
yeah, absolutely, that's great. FCRacers, anything else you want to say about your run?
I'm sorry that I didn't get door skip.
I
tried.
I saw. So at first, it looked like you weren't sure on whether or not to go for door skip, right before that first door. Were you gonna go for it the whole time, or what was that?
I used the spring. I've just done it so much from using the spring instead of just going straight out. So as soon as I messed up, I was like, let me just do it normally and get past this room before I get caught up.
Well, it was very close. I was, when you use that spring, I was like, okay, he's not going for door skip. That makes sense. And then going for it, I was like, oh, he's going to get door skip. And then Obidobi, I think you also did door skip.
I did. I entered the room. I was going to do it normally. And then I was like, crap. I'm losing, so I know I'm losing, so I gotta have a little bit of fun. So I did the second half of door skip.
Okay.
Yeah, I did half of door skip.
Either way, very nice. I think that I probably looked away on the first half. That's, either way, it's tough. Not super precise, but still tough, especially for a new runner. So, yeah, absolutely. Anything else that you want to say about your run, Obidobi?
No, it was just a lot of it in the beginning was just nerves. Like I just died, so I probably wasted a minute in like the first 2 sections of it. But it was fun. Hopefully, be able to do better in the upcoming runs. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Do either you, FC Racer, when's your next race? When can we catch you on this tournament next?
My next race right now is on Sunday against Black Pear. And he is 5th seed right now. And the PB difference, the PB difference was 3 minutes. So.
Sounds like it's going to be a good race then. So you're pretty close to it sounds like, especially after this PB by about a minute. And then Obidobi, when's your next race coming up?
I think we're gonna try. We're in the works right now, but probably Sunday again. Probably around.
We got a lot of races coming up in this tournament. I believe tomorrow, all weekend, I think that we have something like 20 or 30 races coming up. A lot of them going to be on the Speed Gaming channels. So make sure to check those out. Make sure to give these runners a follow. They put on a great show for us. Really appreciate it. And thanks, Flesh, for commentating alongside of me. You got anything else to say?
I've got one question left. And what's of the 2 runners? What's your favorite chapter, speedrun wise and casually wise? That's one thing I'm very interested in.
Oh man.
Obidobi, I'll let you go first.
I'm gonna say. I don't know. Chapter 2 is really fun to just grind and learn and learn all the different optimizations, because the first chapter and the second chapter, there's nothing too difficult. Obviously, since it's the beginning of the game, a lot of it is just movement optimization, and I don't know. Those were fun. It's that was my least favorite. It's right now. It's probably it's not even chapter 5. It's just the Theo section.
I feel that it's a tough one.
Yeah, but we're getting better at it. Yeah,
absolutely.
For me, I'm kind of the. Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah, sorry, you didn't answer.
Yeah, my bad. I'm the odd man out. My favorite chapter is chapter 3. I love that chapter so much, and I'd probably say like 3 and 6. When 3 is done so clean, it looks really good, and it really showcases the game, in my opinion.
Chapter 6 is also a lot of fun when you get it down.
Yeah, very true. But yeah, thanks guys for joining us. And even we're not done with Celeste yet. We're gonna have on Speed Gaming 2, we're done, but in just an hour at 3 a.m. Eastern time or midnight Pacific or whatever that ends up being to where you are across the world, we got another race as part of this tournament. We have Malix versus Green David Koo. I hope I'm saying that name right. So tune into that if you're going to be awake for that. If you're in Europe, I'm sure that's a decent time to be awake. But that's going to do it for us. Thanks for joining, guys. Again, thanks Flesh for co-commentating, and runners, thanks for putting on a great show.
Yeah, thanks for commentating. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys. Really, really appreciate it.
Great, and that's going to do it for us.
Yeah, I think thanks for having us here, and keep doing your things, keep running, and keep watching speedracing or speedrunning on Speed Racing channels, because they are fun to watch always.
Yeah,
absolutely. Have a great night.
All right, see ya.
Bye.